Welcome to the Arsenal Americast, the new exclusive interactive show just for Arsenal America members, featuring very special guests from the realm of Arsenal and global football, behind-the-scenes insight, and real opportunities for you, the American Arsenal supporter, to chat with and get closer than ever to our football heroes and icons. And now, it's time to show the passion of Gooners across the United States. Today's special guests from the Arsenal Vision podcast, Elliot Smith and Clive Palmer. Hello, everybody. It is Mike from Arsenal America with Rick as well, who I'll introduce in just a second. But welcome to our third episode of a brand new Arsenal America production. It's an ongoing series of monthly conversations with the people we know and love, the folks we watch, we listen to, we read, and who create and memorialize so many of the memories and excitements of being a fan of Arsenal Football Club and the sport in general. This is a special guest-driven conversation where you, the Arsenal America membership, can not only watch and listen to some pretty great guests speaking exclusively to Arsenal America, but you can also participate live on air with our guests who want the chance to, if you want the chance for a quick chat, comment, or question, you can actually talk directly to them. It's an opportunity for all of us from Miami to Seattle, from Maine to San Diego, and everywhere in between to get much more connected to North London. So we appreciate you tuning in to these podcasts and making them a part of your monthly routine. So first, I am joined today by a man who wears a lot of hats, even though he's not wearing one today. He's a top Gooner, close friend, a branch manager, a fellow board member of Arsenal America, former champion golfer, real estate tycoon, and former podcaster extraordinaire, Rick Hicks from the Gateway Gooners in St. Louis. How are you?
Doing well. Good afternoon, everyone.
Big day today.
When Mike says we have special guests, I'm not one of those special guests.
Oh, you're special.
They'll be coming up here in a moment.
You are a special guest to me, and you have renewed your long expired podcast license for this one. You've done all the continuing education. You've prepared. You've done your stretches. So you ready for this one?
Yeah, I'd blow the dust off the microphone, but yeah, we're good.
Okay. Well, without any further ado, because we've had a lot of further ado so far, I am pleased to introduce today's guests. They are two of the voices that people tune into most before and after games to get opinions, reactions, thought-provoking content about our club. They met each other when they were randomly paired up in a competition to find the two people with the most diametrically opposed voices and talking speed. They are the host and the star of the award-winning, world-renowned, three-time Oscar-winning Arsenal Vision podcast, Elliot Smith and Clive Palmer. Welcome to the Americast. How was that for a clumsy intro?
Let's put it this way. It was an intro.
That much we know. It wasn't. Wait till you see my outro. But no, we were going to have Paz and Tim and the rest of the crew on today, but they magically came down with non-specific injuries and got called back to their home podcast and were unable to perform. So welcome to the pod. How you guys been? What are you up to?
Yeah, I'm good. Just living the trauma of Arsenal. We're ready to come back after the break. I managed to twist my own knee today running for a train going to work. So I'm injured with the rest of the squad. So yeah, all good.
Well, beautiful. So here's how this is going to work over the next 40 minutes or so. We'll start out chatting with the boys about kind of their background and origin story. I mean, if you're not familiar with the Arsenal Vision podcast, A, where have you been? B, this is a good opportunity to become familiar with it and the great things that they do as well. We will be talking about some pretty good upcoming events, both through Arsenal America, through the Premier League, and through Arsenal Vision, and then eventually get into some questions. If you are in the chat, if you have a question that you'd like for us to ask of the Arsenal Vision fellows, please just put it in the chat. We'll mark it. We'll come back to it, and we will likely have at least one person joining us a little later on to come on live with their own questions. So most people don't know this, but of the thousands of podcasts that the four of us have collectively done over the years, the two people in this room who have known each other the longest are Rick and Clive.
Yeah, that's probably true. That is
So
definitely true. Yeah.
I'm always fascinated by that because I met Rick after his podcast semi-retirement, and we've grown very close in the years past. But you two have a history together, so I think it'd be interesting to kind of talk about your former life, the pre-Elliot years, Clive, and when Rick was a daily feature in your day to day. So how did you guys meet? And tell us about your origin story.
I was not a daily feature, but we were together on the Gooner Ramble, a podcast that was around for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years. I think we started in 2012 and went
How many
through
years?
Don't do I shouldn't have set Mike up for that. But yeah, we started in 2012. I think we went through 2017, 2018, and I think in the middle there, Clive was with us. But at that time, I was simply a behind-the-scenes audio engineer, part-time producer, and was not actually ever live on air with Clive. This is the first time I've been live on air with Clive, even after all those years together on the Gooner Ramble.
Do you miss those days, Clive? I mean, was life simpler then?
Different times, right? So I was just starting. I used to write originally, so my sort of Arsenal life goes back into the late 90s, and I used to write on what they call the Arsenal mailing list, and that's where I met Andrew and co, and people like Amy Lawrence and people like that. And we used to have I first met Andrew at a Wembley event when we played the Champions League games at Wembley, and we had an event for this mailing list just before Y2K. So it's just like an internet mailing list where we'd write our sort of stuff and our articles, etc. And then I discovered that maybe my writing was all right, but I'm not so good at it. So maybe talking was better for me, right? So I went into speaking thereafter, and that's where it all started.
Well, I think that was a good decision for you. And Elliot, how do you and Elliot end up? I mean, I tend to know the backstory of this, but how do you end up linking up and forming the veritable super group that we now know of as Arsenal Vision Podcast?
Yeah, I mean, it's a story of a time gone by, a sepia-toned era where you could go on social media and have actual interactions with people instead of being sold random products for cyber currencies or cryptocurrencies, or being told to place a wager somewhere. No, it was a
You're not
really
supposed to do those things. You're not
No,
supposed
you're
to fall
supposed to
for
do
that?
all of them at length, and that's
Well,
why we have such productive content available on social media.
We are
websites.
still able to take care of our nether regions, though.
Yes, you can absolutely engage in your
At a
manscaping
discount.
as you should. Yeah, and we have a code for that. No, I think it is a shame. I have some nostalgia for a period when I made a lot of people who I now consider dear friends, including everybody on this podcast, through the ability to connect on sites like Twitter. And I feel bad for people who don't get to live through that era, because unfortunately social media has morphed into something a little different, and it's harder to make authentic connections that way. So Clive and I did meet through social media. I was doing the podcast with Paul. So as you can imagine, it was horrible. And I think Clive said, well, maybe if I come on it and Tim comes on it, we could turn this into something people would listen to. I was skeptical, but it turns out he was right, that simply by coming on the podcast with Tim, they were able to turn what was an unlistenable mess into what I think is a listenable mess, but also a beautiful community. So yeah, it is a shame. There's going to be a whole generation of people that never get to make relationships online in the way that we were able to. And who knows, maybe things will change again, and there will be opportunities for that to be possible again with new sites or new understanding of how to use these sites. But that's really it, as simple as meeting online, caring about the Arsenal, and wanting to have a conversation about it.
Well, I love the word curated, because it just can apply to so many different things. But the way that, the team that you've put together is certainly, you've caught magic in a bottle, or lightning in a bottle, whatever it is. And you mentioned something in what you were just saying that to me stands out more than anything else, and that's the word community. We have seen, if you pay attention to Arsenal content creators over the years, there are obviously those who are very high awareness level, very kind of unilaterally present wherever you go, but you may not necessarily agree with their style or their focus or the way that they promote themselves. And then there are communities that I've seen built. Tom Canton has one. Harry Simeo's been, there are many. Highbury Squad with Sophie, of course, is an excellent where you end up not just building a merchandise, creating it's not just about commerce, though. It's about building a community more than anything else. And you guys have done that in a very special way with your Discord and some of the amazing things that you do for the betterment of the world. And so today is an especially kind of relevant day in that regard, because if I am correct, you guys are kicking off your, is it 4th annual? Seems like
I think you would say like fully, properly, emphatically done right 4th annual.
And done right is an understatement. But tell us a little bit about what Arsenal Vision does for the Arsenal Foundation and some of the specific ways that impacts people around the world.
Yeah, I'll definitely give Clive a chance to weigh in on this as well. But we have partnered with the Arsenal Foundation to support their work in Zaatari refugee camp in Jordan. Zaatari camp's one of the largest refugee communities in the world. And of the 80,000 people that are there, 40,000 of them are children. Those children obviously are being brought up in challenging environments, to say the least. A place where electricity and food and water are not a certainty, let alone education and safety, security. They're subject to threats like gender-based violence, child labor, child marriage. And Arsenal have done something really extraordinary in creating a program called Coaching for Life, where coaches from the coach development program that's done in North London go down to Jordan. Representatives of the club go down to Jordan and help train refugee coaches. They build pitches. They build education centers to teach life lessons and resiliency skills and help these kids meet friends, make connections, develop relationships that can be allies for them to confront the challenges they have, encourage them to stay in the schools that are there in the camp, and in general, I think, help them avoid what can be destructive life challenges that abound in a place like that. And the thing that people may not know is that the Premier League provides funding that is ring-fenced for local community charitable works, philanthropic activities. So Arsenal have their hub next to the Emirates Stadium. It does phenomenal work in the North London community, really important work. But that money is ring-fenced. It comes from the league. It comes from the club. It is mandatory. It is protected. The work Arsenal does globally through the foundation and in Zaatari camp is not protected. It is not required, and most clubs don't do anything of the sort. This is something special that Arsenal do. This is not a requirement. This is not a thing that they're just following in line with other clubs. The problem is it is 100% donor-funded. And there's just not a lot of people out there that are prepared to fund a program like this, unfortunately. And so when we found out about this program, I had the chance to go to Jordan to meet some of the children, to see the work that was being done. And once you meet these kids, I think you have a transformative moment with understanding what it means to love the club, to cherish the club, what the badge means. The badge to them is a lifeline. It is a connection to the wider world that they don't otherwise have. It is a message to them that they are not forgotten, that they are not lost, that they are still citizens of the world. They can name all the players, men's and women's teams. They have pictures of them up at their pitches and in their education centers. They love the club in a way where it means something to them about their future and their role in the world. And so once you see that, you say, okay, I know there are a lot of important causes, but we're going to rally around this one because it's connected to the club we love. It's connected to children. It's connected to something where we can make a real tangible impact. And I want to thank Save the Children, who also helps that program operate inside of Zaatari camp. But what happened recently, there was geopolitical change, as we all know. A lot of funding for humanitarian programs has been cut off. And as a result, in the last couple of years, and especially over the last year, Zaatari camp has watched almost all of its non-emergency programs have to be shuttered, meaning that this refugee camp that already had a lot of need now has a desperate situation, right? There are no other programs like this for children that remain in Zaatari camp. And the one program that remains, Coaching for Life, remains because this podcast community, because Andrew, Arscast community, because the Arsenal America community have given generously. This is a program that remains. And these kids, whose biggest fear when you talk to them is, please don't abandon us, please don't forget about us, are not forgotten because people have given so generously. 1.3 million pounds over the last 3 years. We are one fundraiser away from fully funding a 5-year cycle of this program at a time when other programs have been shuttered. And at a time when they have rocket sirens going off every couple of hours in a place that was already a reminder of the war that sent them out of their home country. Well, for the first time ever now, they may have a hope to go back to their home country and build a life. And if they can go through the Coaching for Life program, they're positioned to go back to Syria and build a life there. So as you can tell, I'm passionate about this. It means a lot to me. I'm extraordinarily proud of the work that our communities have banded together to do. And I'm extraordinarily proud of our club that doesn't need to be in that place, but made a commitment to it and hasn't left. So a really, really moving experience to have been there. I can only hope to transmit that experience to people who listen and people who care. But what we do for those kids makes a difference. And we are the lifeline for that program.
It's amazing work that you guys do. And as somebody who, to whom charity and community is important, I think it's something that everybody should obviously have as a part of whatever passion that they have in life. Watching you and your community that you have, and I mean you collectively, for you and your brethren in the Arsenal Vision family have created, do so much good, not just in the quantity of funds raised, which is certainly beyond impressive, but the quality of the way that you're doing it and the follow through that you have in making sure that you're not just hitting a tally on a tote board, you're actually following through to see how that money is benefiting people. And I think that's exceptional and worth, repeating over and over again. So along those lines, we do have somebody who has both been a part of the Arsenal America community for many, many years, since pretty much the very beginning, and who also is a part of the Arsenal Vision community, has asked to join us on screen for a few minutes, mostly to ask the question that you've just answered, but also I'm sure would be happy to generally just say hi and pick up on that. Kevin Essington from Rhode Island, I believe.
Correct. Hello, gents.
Hey,
Hello,
Kevin.
Welcome to the Americast, and apologize for stepping on your question a little bit, but we were going with the flow. So I know you. I got to
stop you already. There seem to be a lot of credentials hanging on the wall behind you, Kevin. So are you going to throw a lot of big words and multisyllabic words at us? I see a lot of credentials on the wall behind you.
Yes.
Okay.
Prepare yourself.
Okay. Here we go.
So Kevin, what's going
on? My question was about the campaign, and Mike asked the core of my question. So I guess I'd like to go a layer deeper with you guys about the campaign and ask what you've learned so far, and also maybe what you would do differently if you had to do it over again.
Yeah, that's a great question. Clive, do you want to add some stuff on what you learned?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just do a little bit. I'm sure about what we've learned. When we originally all got together, and one of the things that binds us is our shared values, really. And when we started out to do this, it's all about Arsenal. And, we have, there is money around, but it was never our intention. So this is an opportunity to give back, So and it's very important to be true to yourself. If you say you're going to do something, let's do it, right? So we started off small, and it's grown into something now that's raised over £1 million, right? So, and then you ask yourself, when I look through the comments every single year on the people that have given, a big portion of those people come from the US. And I find that really interesting. Very, very generous from the US. And then you think to yourself, well, I've never seen any of these people. Elliot's been out to Jordan. I've never seen any of these people. I'll just tell you a story, right? So I come into Finsbury Park normally on a match day, and Elliot makes me go to a pub, so I have to walk, which I don't like doing, right? For those that know me, it's not something I like doing. If I could get an Uber, I would do, right? But just one day I thought, right, I've got to walk. So I'm walking this long, right down the road from Finsbury Park to our favourite pub pre-game. And this guy comes up to me, and, people come up fairly regularly, so no big deal. Guy come up to me and goes, hey, Clive, you did a podcast, didn't you? And I said, yeah, I did a podcast. And he said, well, I just want to say thanks very much, what you do. Yep, my polite self, shake his hand, what's your name, blah, blah, blah. No big deal. He told me his name. And I went, oh, great. He goes to me, yeah, I really like the work you do with refugees. I thought, this is interesting. And why has he said that? Because I've never seen anyone do that before, like raise money for people they don't even know. And I go, oh, yeah, it's what we do. I went through Elliot's speech, what he just done just now, with a North London accent. And then I said, then he said, well, I was a refugee. And then I heard what you guys were doing, and it inspired me. So I then went to college. I went to college for a couple of years, and then I now work in the hub. And I thought, bloody hell. thought, so here's us behind the mic doing our thing, sometimes serious, sometimes funny. Always talking about football, but we can't control the result. But you can control who you are and the quality of your character and you have to think about how you impact others. And I remember that conversation with him, and we had a deeper conversation about his work that he's doing. And I just skipped to the pub to tell Elliot and Andrew what we're doing and how this impacts people, because it's like a reminder, and it sort of gave me a renewed energy. And I know when Elliot came back from Jordan, it gave him a renewed, and when he came back, he was he's unforgivable anyway, right? So, but even more so this time when he came back, he said now he's got faces to remember. You know, he sees actually happening, and I think it's very important. And we are extremely lucky with the community that they trust us. They trust us with their money, and they are on time, and they deliver. And honestly, it surprises me every single year. I cannot believe it. Every year we think we're not going to raise any money, and bang, it just starts. And it's just like it really is heartwarming to see how people are. And every day you pick up your phone and you see something on your phone which tells you about division and hatred and how people are different, and you're told not to like certain people because they have different beliefs than you. And then you do something around football like this, and you realize there's not much difference between us. We do care about other people, and there's an opportunity to show it, and people do every single time.
Yeah. Well said, Clive.
Yeah, that's very well said. And I mean, I know that I have a hypersensitivity to the reactionary, Arsenal fans are whiny and intolerable and fight each other all the time, because I mean, that's literally 0.05% of the people out there. They're just the loudest.
Mostly just me, honestly.
Well, yeah. Well, you're 0.05 of the people. But yeah, I mean, what I see is very, very different in our fan base, because I see the supporters coming together to build things like Rick has built in St. Louis, where it's a place to meet other people with similar philosophies and similar heart and soul, even if they're completely different in every other way. And I just see so much good in the fan base. And it is really Arsenal specific. I'm convinced that it's not just clubs of people surrounding football teams. It's our football team. It's driven from the philosophies of David Rocastle, and whose memory day, of course, was this week. And it's something special to be a part of. And that's why I just smile when people have a platform like you do, through hard work and through, graft and building and putting out regular content, even if you might feel that you don't. I'm sure that seeing those numbers and having those conversations is what drives you forward all the time. And I just couldn't be pleased enough that you guys are making the impact that you are.
I think, it is what Clive said is so interesting to me too, because we are told every day in every social media space, in every place that we encounter one another in digital spaces, how divided we are and how much anger and hatred and separation there is. And yet, when it comes time for actual people to do real things, the opposite seems so obvious and prevalent.
Yeah.
And it is one of the things that I think that I've gotten from the fundraiser, apart from just a great swell of pride at the money that's been raised and the help that it's provided, is it helps me refocus and reframe what reality is versus some of the toxicity we encounter in digital spaces, to say, if the world is as bad and the people are as bad as everybody suggests, and let's not sugarcoat it, there's some really bad stuff out there and really bad things happening, but it is the charitable spirit and the eagerness to donate and the eagerness to participate, and not just donate, by the way. I've got 14-year-old kids saying, I'll run a marathon and donate the proceeds. I got people saying, I'll run 150 kilometers. People saying, what can I do to get involved? So it stands in opposition to the cynicism that I think naturally washes over you at this time. And Kevin, I'm sort of curious to get your take in terms of, maybe you weren't aware of what the foundation was doing and Coaching for Life was doing. And maybe, I don't know if you heard about it for the first time on the podcast or related to the fundraiser, but I'm just curious to kind of get your unvarnished opinion of why it resonated for you, why you wanted to participate. What specifically was it about this cause, this fundraiser, this club doing this thing that you connected with?
Yeah, well, on a personal level, you guys have built trust with your listeners. And in some ways, I think, the club and the foundation have shown themselves to be really credible. So that's Kevin's kind of personal answer. My day job is in philanthropy and fundraising in large part. So what I will tell you from that side is the fact that you took that trip to Jordan and were able to tell the stories, it is just gold. Hearing the impact, yes, how many kids, how many dollars, terrific, but the stories are incredible. And I expect if you were to poll folks who have given what motivated them, the stories would probably jump to the top.
I appreciate that, Kevin, because I will say one of the things that was important about me going there is you talked about trust. I trust our club and I trust the foundation, but being able to go there, and just so we're clear, it's not easy to go there. Forgetting the expense and all that, it's not a tourist destination. You can't just go to a refugee camp. You have to pass a lot of permits, a lot of background screenings, FBI checks, things like that. It was important because if we were going to expect a community of people who trust us to give at a time when giving is not easy for a lot of people, then it was important to be able to validate and verify the impact. And to say that my experience went well beyond validating and verifying, that's an understatement. So I'm glad you referenced that, Kevin, because I think I'll be honest. I was nervous about going there. It's on the border of a war-torn country. It's in a region that can, for people that haven't had experience with it, can seem intimidating to go to. There were a lot of checks and expenses that had to be taken on to do it. Honestly, it's one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. So I'm glad that it resonated, because part of that trust is having a willingness to go and stand up for the things that you're asking your community to stand up for as well. So I appreciate that.
And the second most rewarding thing you've done is this right now, right?
Literally. I mean,
through
my
some
daughters
of,
are just out there. This is above that.
and through some of the obviously we had 3-4 years of this now, so we've got to know some of the foundation senior people, directors, etc. And when you meet them, I'm sure you may know some of them, Mike. When you meet them, you realize that no matter what good we think we're doing, there are better people out there than you. They are so wholesome, and all they care about is other people. It is like, oh my goodness.
Just from a statistical standpoint, there's got to be better people than us out there.
Honestly,
just purely statistically,
like,
I don't see how it's possible, but there's got to be, right? So these are them, is what you're saying.
Yeah, we talked to Freddie as the sort of foundation director, and you meet him, and I don't think he's so committed. It's just ridiculous. He's so committed to other people in North London. They have lots of programs there. Obviously, the Coaching for Life program is very much funded by the work that Elliot and we do. And so I can see a future where we will get involved in more programs down the road. This is a very important year for the Coaching for Life program, and that consistency is really important. And again, we all love our football, right? And I think all day about our midfield balance and how we got changes we got to make, etc., etc. And Elliot tells me we need to make a sub 5 minutes soon. I say, mate, it's not that important, really. Honestly, it isn't. And then what is important is things like this, really. And I can see some names in the chat there who come, like someone like Laurie, for example, and they are there all the time. All the time, good, bad, win, lose, all the time. And I see those names and I think, crikey, we are very fortunate. And I'll say it again, much of this, a high proportion of this comes to the US. I find that really interesting as I get to know you guys. Elliot's the most American person I know in the whole wide world. He may be the most American person in the whole wide world. And so
original American flag is a picture of him on it, some of the 50 stars.
So I'm learning. I'm educating myself. But yeah, it's a great fun.
Yeah, Laurie, by the way, 7th generation Gooner, and if you didn't know that about Laurie, he will be happy to tell you about that. Kevin, thank you for joining us, and I would love to get in a deeper conversation with you about. You've told me a little bit about your origin story in Arsenal America, and a lot of the names you mentioned are obviously folks who had a tremendous amount to do with the building of our community, and so I was really glad to hear from you. Any other questions or comments for the boys before we move on?
I mean, I won't get into the single versus double pivot, which is really what's on our minds today. We can save that for later. I've
We
We all
can
know
talk a
it's
little
like
bit about
1-6-2-8. It's fine. We all know it. We all
I've
know
sort of enjoyed this international break for some unfortunate reasons after the cup final, but it's all good. Thanks for all that you do. Thanks, Mike, and for Arsenal America, and up the Gunners.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kevin. I
Thanks,
appreciate
Kevin.
Nice
it.
to meet you, Kevin.
Again, remember, anybody in the chat or Arsenal America members that want to come on future podcasts and join us on screen like Kevin has and like Katie did in the last podcast with Amy Lawrence, all you got to do is email us at board@arsenalamerica.com in advance. Or if you're in the chat and want to come on, you can just go to comeontheshow.com, which actually is a link that works and it doesn't go to anything, that you wouldn't.
You got to be careful with that.
Yeah, but I think I'm going to get a new domain that's, that Ryan.
Maybe
Youngblood
go on
will-
the show. Or
Yeah,
be
go
on
on
the
this.
show.
Yeah, I think that was taken, but yeah, okay.
Okay.
Enough of that. So we do want to talk a little bit about Arsenal and the current situation here, and I think we had one of those moments a couple weeks ago where kind of Clive's soothing perspective of don't throw all your toys out of the pram quite yet was needed. So the League Cup final was kind of a sucker punch, at least it was to me and a lot of people, because I kind of feel like we're in that phase, and I never like comparing football or Arsenal or the Premier League to other sports because it is unique. And nothing about the fandom and the on pitch can really be compared to any other sport in the world. But I do think that mentality and psychology of players and team sports is something that kind of translates across sports and countries and all of that. And, I like to talk about how in the 80s and 90s in the NBA, you had these dynasties where in the 80s it was Celtics and Lakers all the time. And then no one else could break through until finally the Pistons did. And then once the Pistons broke through, they were on top for a few years until the Bulls broke through. And then it was after the Bulls, it took, 8 years of almost complete dominance. And then the Lakers of Kobe and they, of Kobe and Shaq broke through. And it was these teams that were bumping up against the top levels, not quite getting over the hump until they learned how to win the actual prize, which is very different than learning how to get through a season or a tournament. So, Clive, I thought we were there. 4 years of coming in second, getting close to but not winning major silverware, adding to our squad depth, adding to the experience of getting close enough. This season, and it may still be, I thought this was the season that we pull above and stay there for a while. And I think we just kind of thought that was going to start with the League Cup final. So, first Clive and then Elliot and Rick, what were your thoughts on kind of what that performance and the naivety and the failure on the day really means in the large scheme of things? Are we there yet?
Yeah, because we all want to win so desperately. You have to remember this. Sometimes I have to remember this when I'm podcasting, is we all want exactly the same things. We all do. We want to win desperately. And because of that, we're on the up escalator and we think it's just going to keep going up and up and up at the pace that we want and arrive there, hopefully a procession, so I can just get to that moment where I can enjoy myself. And every time the escalator stops and we have a moment where we have to think about ourselves, then you think, oh my goodness, then all the old fears and scars come back in. And it's about perspective and what is the perspective around this League Cup final game. And it hurt me, I'll be honest with you. I'd expected a better day. As I said this to Elliot on the podcast, as I got closer and closer to Wembley and I could see the Man City people and I realised that club has done a bit as well. They're quite good. And then my phone was telling me that certain players weren't fit. I almost lost a bit of confidence the more I got closer to the ground. And but the way we lost was so transparent tactically what went wrong. It's actually not perplexing because every single analysis channel, every podcast you've listened to can tell you exactly what happened. If blokes like me with 2 coaching badges can see it, what about the sports scientists and the analysts at Arsenal? They can all see it and they know exactly what went wrong and how to fix it. So that is really important. I think psychologically, very difficult to say this, but I think we're getting a lot of flowers coming our way We just beaten Leverkusen, just beaten Everton with a nice, happy moment towards the end. We were getting our shots on target and we were back. And then suddenly you get a reminder that there's still work to do. And the reaction of the club to make sure our players got their legs up during the national break, I think was really important and telling. I don't think we've done that in previous years. It's a critical time for us to reset. We played 50 games, we've lost 4. You've got to have perspective. You know, only Newcastle played more games than us in the top 5 leagues in Europe. And so this is where we are. Now, you can decide if you want to say, you know what, it's all going to go wrong. Or you can say to yourself, you know what, if I can have a little bit of positive thinking, maybe it'll go right. We scored the most goals, conceded the least goals. There are enough data points out there to say this team is all right. No, I'm not going to sit here and say to you that we're playing sparkling well, but is that important? And is anybody else playing sparkling well consistently over 3-4 games? In 2026, I don't think there's been a winning run no bigger than 3 or 4 games. So no one is doing it. It's the attritional nature of the leagues. You have to look at Arsenal in that lens. And then for us now, we're getting too close. And soon we'll be able to count down. And when you're getting close, football changes. So when Eze walked out in his flare jeans, it was sunny football, grass was perfect, moving the ball around nicely, pitch nicely watered, beautiful, in your T-shirts. And then it gets a bit tougher. The winter comes along. It's winter for us, not like Elliot's winter, but winter comes along and football changes. It's every 3 days, 4 competitions, and I don't think you can expect the same things. And now we've had a bit of a break. I think we're a bit more of a spring in our step. And then it will change again as Champions League kicks in, FA Cup kicks in. At the moment, it's literally one day at a time. And that's where I am with it. Despite the fact that everyone's saying we're going to do it, that sort of talk worries me. I was at an event this weekend at the British Library, a writers' festival event. It's really, really good it was. And it gave an opportunity to speak to some Arsenal people, that, you know, journalists and ex-players and things like that, and gave one's temperature. And it's the same. We're all the same. We're all hopeful. We're all petrified. That's it. And the only thing that's going to change that feeling is the next game. You know, and but I do think we are the best team this season. If you look at the last 3 years, I think probably we spent the most days at the top of the league in the 3-4 year period. And I think it's our time. I want to say the word turn, but it's our time. But the scary thing is, if we get it right this year, there's a real chance to get it right for the next 2-3 years. And that's the difference between us and Liverpool. That's the difference between us and City. We've got a stronger core at a good age profile. So I'm really hopeful. But the first one, it's all about the first one, mate. And that's coming up, hopefully.
Yeah, that's the getting over the hump. And Elliot, I mean, I do think that the reason that there's been so much faith in Mikel and the project, and people kind of still holding on 6 years in. I mean, obviously there are people that have long since jumped off because it's taken 6 years, but I discount that, is because we are headed in the right direction for a sustainable long run at the top if we can get over that hump. Do you see it the same way, Elliot?
I think it's dangerous to presume that, because all you have to do is look at Liverpool, who won the title last season, and they feel a million miles away this season. I think football is extremely unpredictable because of injury impacts, because of player movement, because you don't control what other clubs do, because you have to compete in so many different competitions and have so many games over the course of the season, that the way that takes its toll on you can result in outcomes that distort what could otherwise be a clearer impression of your own quality. I mean, candidly, I'd like us to win one. You know, I'd like us to win one. It's been 22 years since we won the title. I'd like us to win one. Talking of dynasties, I think is dangerous only because it also presumes that there isn't a lot of work that would have to be done just to compete again next season. And I think what talking of dynasties can do, and I'm not saying you intend it to do this, by the way, Mike, but I do think it can do it. It can almost be a way to not celebrate the title you did win. It's almost a way of saying, well, actually, with what you've built, you should win multiple. One isn't enough. It's a way to already frame the debate and the discourse around legacy and future success rather than staying laser focused on current success. And I think if we do anything as fans, if we get this over the line, we should take every opportunity to celebrate it and appreciate it and recognize how low we've been, the distance we've had to travel, the length of time since we did it last. And there will be regret for me that we didn't do it a couple seasons ago, or maybe even 3 seasons ago, when a midseason World Cup and 2 injuries in a Europa League game may have cost us a title we didn't expect. But I'm not going to let anything diminish my appreciation of what we accomplished this season should we do it. So do I think we have the foundations to be set up to compete at the top for a long time? Well, I got news for you. We've already been competing at the top for a long time. We've been the second best team in England for the last 3 years and one of the top teams in Europe for the last 2 years. So I don't know what competing at the top is if it's not that. So I don't want to downplay that I think we're well positioned for longer term success, but I want to make sure that the perception that we're a title win away from 5 title wins doesn't prevent people from celebrating what we have achieved and not diminishing it by virtue of what needs to be achieved in the future, if that makes sense.
So Rick, Elliot clearly doesn't have standards. He's happy with just one. And
I'd be happy if we finished 3rd, candidly. Let's just have a nice time along the way.
I just want to, it's the journey,
it's
not
the friends
the
we made.
Yes, the journey, not the destination. And second's nice. No, but Rick, I mean, as someone who will hopefully be experiencing revelry and excitement over in London in the next couple of months, along with me, what are your thoughts on kind of where we are in this season? And do you see this being the year that we finally just do what's needed to be done and have learned what we've needed to learn over the last few years?
Have we learned? I don't know. I thought that last year and the year before. So I'm not the person to state that. As far as where we are, it feels very much like we got the break at the right time. We ran into this a few years ago, right? They went off on break, came back, refreshed, renewed, new tactics. And once
they
again,
went to Dubai that time though. I don't think we went to Dubai this time.
We didn't go to Dubai, but what was happening is, we were no longer surprising teams. They were figuring us out. They were learning how to defend against us and kind of stagnating our attack. It feels like we're going through that again. And I just hope that they're taking this break to devise new ways to counteract that. It also hurts, obviously, that we're missing both Odegaard and Eze, 2 ball carriers in the midfield. And now that we're lacking them, I think City just took advantage of that, took the midfield away from us. I love Zubimendi, but he's not a ball carrier per se. So we were kind of missing that part of our attack. And I hope we come back from the break stronger and able to counteract it, because we're no longer surprising people. They're preparing for us. They are finding ways to keep us contained. And as much as we can contain others, if we can't overcome that, we are in trouble. But we will overcome that. I have absolute confidence we will. They can't outlast us, right? If it comes down to it, we will overcome them.
Well, that's the mentality part of it, because I think in the previous seasons, I'll never forget that game. Elliot, you were there in Chicago. I think Rick, you were there probably as well, when the West Ham game where it was 2-0 by the time Sophie got there in the 5th minute. And we had spent the whole season just running out and playing our ass off and scoring all kinds of goals, and we just couldn't keep the pace up. We ran out of steam in those last 2 months of the season and blew the lead that we had, which was very similar to the lead we have right now. And that's what I think is different about this squad, is that we are better prepared to handle that kind of a stretch. But want to talk a little bit about some upcoming events that we're having as well. So now that we've kind of nervously talked about the next 2 months of the end of the season, and we'll hopefully have a lot to celebrate, we have a couple of little mini celebrations of our community coming up in April. So the first is the Premier League's Fan Fest, which comes on the weekend of April 18th and 19th. Let me see if I can get a Yeah, here we go. In Tampa, the Premier League every year, twice a year, does a in-person fan fest. This is happening in Tampa, Florida, April 18th and 19th. And as always, it is a Gooner-dominated event because we are the best fan base, especially worldwide, but also here in the States. The Saturday night, which is not the game day, we'll be having a gathering at Coppertail Brewing Company from 2 to 9 p.m. There's space for 1,200 Gooners, and from what the Premier League is telling us, we have many times that number of people who are registered to come to the event in general. So come to that event. There may be some special guests there that we can't yet announce. There will be giveaways, beer specials, fun to be had. And then the next day, of course, Arsenal versus Man City. So make sure to come to that. You can go to arsenalamerica.com in the coming days for more details about that event. And then the following weekend, we have something called Arsenal Across America, which is the brainchild of one Elliot Smith, an Arsenal Vision, and kind of a joint venture with Arsenal America to highlight this kind of the theme of today, the amazing community of Arsenal fans that exist here in the United States. So tell us a little bit more, Elliot, about this event. And there's a local and national element to it, and we would love to have as many people participating in it as possible. So tell us a little
absolutely. My friend Kittrick Kearns sort of had the idea that we should do something to bring Arsenal fans across America together. And Clive, Kittrick as well. You've met him out in LA. The idea is essentially that I think we could all use a moment to feel more connected and together, as I referenced earlier. And I think the American Arsenal community is a really special one, as we've seen by the point Clive made about the charitable spirit, the willingness to give, the devoted support for the club, the willingness to get up all hours of the day or to spend thousands and thousands of dollars just to make a once-in-a-lifetime pilgrimage over to England to support the club, or to pay exorbitant fees for a preseason ticket. So we don't celebrate ourselves as a community enough, and as someone who lives here and spends most of my time celebrating over in England when I have the privilege to be there, I thought, it makes a lot of sense to try to bring this community together. So what we're doing, we're having a flagship event in DC at Franklin Hall, April 25th, unless the FA Cup semifinal is the 26th, but it'll be the weekend of the 25th. We'll be doing a live podcast with me and Paul and Jacob from Poorly Drawn Arsenal. We'll have tickets to give away to an Arsenal game, which is very exciting, two tickets. And we will essentially be doing a live stream, and we'll have more details about this. At halftime of the game that weekend, we will do a live stream for all Arsenal fans in America at their local pubs, where we're going to bring people on from pubs from all over the country to show what it's like where they are, where they're watching, how they're celebrating, what they're doing, to bring us all together and have sort of a halftime celebratory moment to tie it all together. We're going to be asking people to submit video from their pub of celebrating on the day, the chants, the camaraderie, the togetherness, and we're going to stitch that all together to a sort of video journal of a day of supporting Arsenal from coast to coast, and we'll put that out for Arsenal American supporters to celebrate and to keep together, which I'm really excited about. And then, of course, we will have the live podcast in DC, as I mentioned. There will be the giveaway for tickets, and all of this is oriented around sort of the final days of the fundraiser that we mentioned earlier. So a great chance to celebrate this community in America supporting Arsenal, a great day to try to feel all connected in our support of that, to build a memorable piece of content that we can all cherish and hold on to from what is hopefully an historic season. And then, of course, to support a very worthy cause and hopefully draw some extra attention and donations to that as well. So that is the crux of it. And I'm looking forward to being in DC for that, but to seeing a lot of people from all over the country. You're on mute, which, by the way, that's very in vogue. That's Paul's move. So he might be sending you a cease and desist, but that's okay.
I was attempting to not have my filling of Monster Zero and iced coming across while you were saying that beautiful introduction of the event. But please, what's the website that people can find out more about that? Is that
acrossamerica.arsenalvisionpodcast.com. That's acrossamerica.arsenalvisionpodcast.com. It has all the information. You'll notice certain links aren't populated yet. For example, where to get to the live stream or put up your video submissions, because we're not asking for that yet. The fundraiser link, which is on that page, will be populated today, and you should see that link over there soon, but acrossamerica.arsenalvisionpodcast.com. That's the one.
Why do I keep muting myself? Yeah, we can. You can also see the link for the fundraiser at the bottom of the screen here. We've got the crawl going. As soon as it hits that, you'll be able to see the link to donate. And of course, you can get that information on the Arsenal Vision website, and it'll be discussed on Arsenal Vision podcast pretty frequently. So, yeah, the event has really kind of resonated with our branches. Arsenal America are a family of just about 90 branches around the country, and each one, like Rick leading in St. Louis with the Gateway Gooners and 88 other branches, they've really kind of embraced this idea of an event that, you know, while it's being held in one location, it's inclusive of everybody across America. And I have seen in areas where you would have also seen it, Elliot, and also in areas where you wouldn't have seen it, just a lot of excitement and appreciation of this kind of, highlighting of the Arsenal fan base here in the States. So it is a great event. I am gutted that I'm not going to be able to be there, but I'm sure you guys will be able to find a way of having fun regardless.
But we will miss you.
I will miss seeing you and Paz again, and the rest of the DC crew, which is my former home. So quick message from our sponsor, which is us, Arsenal America. And this is a timely thing today because it is April 1st. In addition to being the opening day of the Arsenal Vision fundraiser, it is also the opening day of our 25th anniversary season as the official supporters club of Arsenal Football Club here in America. And memberships are now open for next season. And so I just want to mention, and thanks to Rick, who's the lead of the team that helps to make all this happen on the website, but you can go to arsenalamerica.com, or you can follow the QR code at the top left of the screen and learn all about our new benefits, our new pricing, our new options. We are doing everything that we can to make Arsenal America membership a no-brainer for people. $15 for the whole year. That's like a cent a day or something ridiculous like that. Used to be, do you remember the commercials? A cup of coffee a day, you can support, you can adopt an animal or support children in various places of the world. And a cup of coffee a day now is like $900 a year. And we're not charging $900 a year for Arsenal America. It's $15 a year. But starting today, you can get early bird pricing, arsenalamerica.com. We hope that you will join us and go on what hopefully will be a pretty cool 14-month ride, including the end of this season and what hopefully, but not automatically, will be a very good season next season. Any other, as we're pushing up on an hour, any other things that you guys wanted to mention or bring up to our American supporter base about the club or about anything that you guys are doing?
Clive, anything?
No, not for me, really. Just
where will you be sharing what you where will you be celebrating some upcoming successes? If not the specific address.
I'm not even thinking that far ahead. Just excited for the next few. I will say this. When I first started supporting Arsenal, it was a very local club. Very much a London club and surrounding areas. And you could recognize the main supporters. You knew who they were. You recognized their faces. You walk down the road in different parts of the country. Now we're a massive global club. We've, it's incredible, 90 branches of US support. I mean, just think about that for a second. When I go to the ground, most of the people that come up to me are from the US or from Ireland. So that tells you something. And well, I will say, when we won the league last time, 2004, I can remember it. It was exciting. It was nice. Good little drink, no problems. Expected to win it in the next 2 years. So no drama here. It's just what we do. And that was 22 years ago. And the club since then has grown significantly. We're talking tens and tens of millions of people around the world, and we'll be able to see this. And so the potential cultural explosion if Arsenal win is going to surprise us all. And it makes me really excited for what could happen. I'm just trying not to imagine it, but I just can't wait. I can't wait if it happens. And I think you only get things in life when you deserve it. And the first year, we weren't ready. If you think back to the Ramsdale, to the Southampton game, the West Ham game, missed penalty, a couple of 2-2 draws. We weren't ready. We were young. We weren't ready. The second year we were ready. We maybe took a little bit too long to find our team, came back from a winter break, and we just killed it. We were the best team. The only problem is that no one else played Man City properly, and so they hung on. The third year, we weren't competing. Let's be honest. Injury ruined it. We weren't competing. It was Liverpool's time. It was their time. They deserved the second championship in the Klopp era, and he got his second championship even though he wasn't there. It was their time. And I think this year we are ready. And I think this is our time. And the only thing that's going to stop us is our own nerves, and it's maybe our own anxiety. And so despite us conceding that we're not tip-top, I'm also trying to close half an eye to that, to just make sure that we all push the players towards this final goal. And we were talking on our own podcast about Victor Gyökeres recently. And there are concerns about his game, but football has a way of always giving you another opportunity. And here he is today, after scoring the goals to take his country to the World Cup. And people are looking at it completely differently. And I just think the story of football and people's development and their growth and improvement is what it's all about, right? So, and hopefully that guy that can barely trap it or win a header or win a race could take us to the league title. And I don't think he'll be a hero for us, right? So, so yeah, that's where my head's at the moment. And I just, meeting people like yourself, Mike, who I really know now. I didn't do that in 2004, so and that is the difference, and that is and there are many more like you out there, not quite like you, but many more like you out there.
I really hope for everyone's sake.
That's what I'm looking forward to the most, really, to enjoy that with those people.
Excellent. Well said. And we've got one more question. It's a relevant question, and it's one that I'm intentionally, and you know why, going to end with you, Elliot. But before that, just want to say thank you to all of our great Arsenal America members, future members. Massive thank you to our true treasures. Thank you, Elliot and Clive, for taking time out of your day to spend with us. Everything you do to promote our club, the fan base, everything growing in the States and these upcoming events. I am going to ask for a score prediction for the Southampton game. Rick, did you have something you wanted to add?
I was going to say, if you want to end with Elliot, I was going to get my pitch in now.
Yeah, let's
it's just I'm gonna ask for participation. These people on the panel here, Elliot, Clive, Mike, the charity work they're doing is impressive. I'm impressed by it. I'm inspired by it. I just want to ask everybody out there, get involved, participate. Additionally, participate in this upcoming event on the 25th. I was going to try to, broadcast it in our pub. I'm going to be over in London with Mike, but we're a strong branch. We have JP and others that I'm sure they'll handle it. So you'll get some video from St. Louis, but I would like to encourage all branch managers to try to do what you can to participate in that event, create some videos, participate in any way you can, in addition to joining these charities, and to also include Goonerverse Cancer in there as well. Not too long ago, Mike was over in London walking 50 miles to generate donations to fight against cancer. So I don't want to leave that one out either.
Well, thank you, Rick. I appreciate that. And he's right. I mean, if you watch the games and I don't want this to come across too preachy, but if you watch the games and all you care about when it comes to Arsenal are wins and losses, you are missing a large part of what it is to be an Arsenal fan. I think I can safely say that without being judgy. I hope that you can adopt that as part of your day-to-day if you haven't already. And yeah, get out there and participate in any way, shape, or form with anyone that you can. This has been episode 3 of the Arsenal Americast. We will have our next show in May with another very special guest who you'll have a chance to chat and interact with. And finally, what is everyone's prediction on the score for the Southampton game? I'm going to go Rick, Clive, and Elliot. So, Rick, what are you thinking about this Saturday? Sorry.
We're away, so it's 0-3 Arsenal, right?
0-3 Arsenal. Okay, we got 3-0 the Arsenal. Clive, do you like making predictions? I'm guessing you don't love this part of things, but
this is the stuff I don't like. Predicting lineups and making predictions. But I'll say 1-0 because I think we'll just nick it by 1 goal. But 1-0's fine.
And Elliot, I already know yours, but we got to get it out there, and we'll finish.
Yeah,
with
10-0, obviously. But if I had to pick a second scoreline, I'd say 2-1 to the Arsenal.
All right. Well, we will see you after the month of April, which will include Elliot.
Arsenal 10, Southampton 0.
This has been the Arsenal Americast. Join us every month for this, one of the many exclusive benefits of Arsenal America membership. To learn more about Arsenal America and to join, go to www.arsenalamerica.com and watch your email and our socials for details about next month's special guest.